paying for traffic to your e-commerce store, but the traffic that you're buying isn't converting. This is a really common story. It's very common with newer stores, but as you get older and more established in your ad account, chances are you're going to have to take another look at this and diagnose some problems and optimize your actual website if you want to drive more conversions. I'm Harley. I want to teach you how to run better ads, and in this video, I'm going to show you how to tell A, if your conversion rate is actually a problem, B, what you should do to make your website convert better, C, how you can execute upon that without having a ridiculous budget for a CRO agency and all the other big glamorous stuff. And then we're going to wrap up with a bit of a deep dive into an example of a great product page that definitely converts traffic. So to kick things off, the first question that you really have to ask here is, how do you know if you actually have a conversion rate that's a problem? The way you can tell this is, the easiest way to look is in your ad account or just in your Shopify store. So in Shopify, you should be able to see your conversion rate. If not, you can calculate it just manually doing the sessions and the number of purchases. You want to take the total number of orders over the total number of sessions. So if you had 10 sales out of 100 people who made it onto the website, you've got a conversion rate of 10%. Now, a 10% conversion rate would be awesome. If you're sitting at 10%, you're either not selling a typical product or you're not getting a lot of traffic onto the website. Typically at scale, stores will operate at around the 3% mark. So the first thing to look at and make sure you've actually got a conversion rate problem is figure that out. And then you need to figure out where it sits in the funnel. Now, I typically do this inside of Meta because ads are my focus when I'm working with a client. What I look at is really 4 kind of key metrics here. The first one is the outbound click-through rate. Now, this isn't your conversion rate on your website, but if this sucks, it tells you that your ads suck. And even though you have lots of views, they aren't clicking out to your website. A really important thing here, and I'm going to show you how to set this up inside of your ad account soon, is you need to use outbound click-through rate. The reason for this is Meta can be a little cheeky sometimes, and it's going to count things like a person clicking on the comments as a click. So if you look at your click-through rate, you're actually not going to see the percentage of people that clicked through the ad and made it to the website. The second metric is going to be your add to cart rate. In this case, we're looking at a funnel that didn't have in particular a checkout step. It was just straight to the checkout page. So there's no cart for the person to interact with. You want 10% of people who make it onto your product page to be adding an item to their cart. 50% of those cart ads should make it to the checkout. And finally, 50% of your checkouts should purchase. So what this means is that when I go into Business Manager and I look at these metrics here, I see, great, we've got an awesome click-through rate here. People are clicking through the ads, so that's awesome. We're above that 2%. We've got great add to cart rates. We're above that 10%. But this is a big hole, and this is hurting our overall conversion rate. So how do you spot this and get these metrics inside your ad account? You want to go into your ads manager. You'll see this button here that says performance. When you click on this and go customize columns, the first thing I'm going to do is set in our outbound click-through rate. The rest of the metrics are custom metrics. So we're going to go to custom in that home page and go create custom metric. So the first thing we want to see is how many people are adding an item to their cart. What's our percentage there? So to get the cart rate, I'm going to go ads to cart, and I'm going to put that over landing page views. I'm going to call this ATC conversion rate. Save it as a percentage and create the metric. You might want to set it to everyone with access to this ad account can see it if you share the account with other people, other marketers. Once you've done that, we're going to create another one, which is checkouts over ads to cart. And this is checkout visit CVR. And the last step is we're going to go purchases over checkouts initiated. Purchase CVR. Make sure they're all percentages, otherwise it's going to look a little funny. And then you want to add these in order that they take place in the funnel. So good rule of thumb, you want to be able to just read it left to right and have it all make sense and see all the drop-offs. So we've got our outbound click-through rate down here. I then want to add our add to cart conversion rate, checkout, and then purchase in that order. I'm going to save that as my website conversion funnel. Voila. Now when I scroll over here, I will see all of the different options: outbound click-through rate, add to cart, checkout, and purchase, just like we have here, minus the checkout step. Now that you can see this inside of your ad account, you can actually look and see where the problem is in your funnel. So if you've got a bad click-through rate, you have a problem with your ads. It's not on your website. You need to improve your ads. If you have a really low percentage of people adding to their cart, your problem is on the product page, because that's the last thing they see before they complete that step. The same goes for the checkout. Whatever comes in between, they add it to their cart. Maybe it's a basket page. That page probably needs some work, or maybe the customer journey does. You get the idea. You want to look at the step just before that bottleneck to be able to solve the problem. So in this example, let's say you've got a problem with your add to cart rate. So this tells you there's a problem with the product page, and next we need to figure out how we actually get people to go from looking at the product to adding it to their cart and going further down. A lot of brands, this is really the biggest problem outside of the click-through rate in their ads. So that's why I'm choosing to focus on it today. So here we've got an example of a couple of different product pages. We've got a before and after. The one on the right might look a little messy, but I'm going to step you through all of the pieces that have been added here so you can understand how to do it, what you might need to add in your own website. Of course, it's going to depend on your store. But there are some real fundamental things here that you can apply regardless of your industry, regardless of any A/B testing, that are just fundamentals that you will translate maybe differently to your business. How do you fix a product page? So really there are three fundamental areas that you need to focus on. Friction is the first one, and it's the most common one that people muck up. So friction is, how do you make it easier for the customer to just go and do the next step that they should be taking when they're on your website? When you look at this example on the left, the before, when you load the page, you can't actually buy something. You don't have a button here that you can click to just go straight in and buy the product. You have to scroll. And these little tiny incremental steps all add up and accumulate to significant friction for the customer. That's what we want to avoid. So you will see that if I wanted to go in and browse different images, I kind of have to think and say, oh, this tells me that there's other images here. Maybe I can swipe across. Oh, there's no arrows. I'll have to think, you just have to use your brain to figure out how to get to the next side. You'll notice here, they have arrows on each side of the image, and they have little images here, so you could skip straight to whatever version of the product you wanted. You'll also see they don't have an add to cart option right away on that page. So I can't just click to buy the thing that I'm trying to buy. Next, we can take a look at trust, because I think this is quite a big one. And there's two different ways that you can kind of build trust. The first is you can shout and scream about it like this. So you can give social proof. This could be written testimonials, video testimonials, review summaries like what you see here. When you put all these together, this is quite a direct way to build trust and show that you're established. The other way that you build trust really is with brand and branding. Now, this example doesn't tackle it, but it is really important. I would argue actually this example is a bit poor because this feels off-brand. You probably noticed it the second that this came up on the screen. This feels a little salesy. That's your trust indicator going, hey, something's not right here. So trust can be demonstrated not just through these direct little assets here, but also by making sure the whole brand ties together. Is the font nice? Does it feel pretty? Does it load fast? Finally, we have confidence. And to me, confidence is something much more specific to the product. So this is, how confident am I that this product is going to solve my problem? In this case, we don't have exact copy, but I can see here we've got some bullet points that are going to call out specific features of the product. This would be written in a way that makes it very clear that, hey, if you're here and you clicked on our ad that was targeting people who have a problem with focus or energy, then this is for you. And we want to reiterate that for the customer. So all of this sounds really good, but how do you actually execute on it if you don't have the ability to test and figure out where these bottlenecks are and where you might have room to improve? How do you know where to look? So once you've done step 1 and you've isolated it to a particular part of the funnel, the next thing you want to do is grab a tool that's going to help you understand how people behave on your website. Now, these don't have to be crazy expensive tools. It's really important you have decent analytics up front, something like a Google Analytics, or if you're spending a bit of money, maybe Hyros or Triple Whale can help you with your analytics. This tool is called Content Square. It used to be called Hotjar. You might have heard of it. And what this will do is give you heat maps on your website so you can see how much people are viewing certain sections of the website and where they're clicking. This is so important. It's a 2-week free trial. It's sick. I'm not an affiliate. I'm not going to be one. It's such a massive transformation to be able to see this. There's 2 really critical ways that you can use it. The first is I had a client where I used this on the landing page. We found that half of their page was filled with just gaps in this heat map. Nobody was looking at it. Nobody was reading the content. It was a nightmare. It was completely useless. So what did we do? We trimmed the fat and we got rid of it. The next step was we found the same heat map on the checkout page. We had this big feature list of all the stuff that you get. What happened is all these people got to the bottom of the page. They couldn't be bothered scrolling back to the top. It was too much friction. They had to think about what to do next. And they just left the page while they were in the middle of checking out. We only found this out because we had a free plan for Content Square that gave us heat maps, and it also gave us session recordings so we could see more specific behavior and understand why. When we fixed this, our conversion rate for this particular offer went from 2.8% to 7.6%. This was 12 hours after launching a campaign. So I cannot stress enough how powerful of a tool Content Square is. Even if you just have 2 weeks to bang out an audit and do a quick health check, it is such a useful tool. The next piece that's critical, and you've probably seen people bang on about it, is page speed insights. Now, this is a tool that Google made that will show you how fast your website loads and what you can do about it. With how much people talk about page speed, there's a good chance that you've probably gotten sick of people banging on about how important it is, and it's more of a convenience thing. I want to put you in the mind of the customer, right? So you've been scrolling Instagram, you're in the middle of bed, it's late at night, you watched a video, and you saw an ad for this little kitchen chopping device that stops you from mucking up all your salads. You just press the thing down and it chops your lettuce for you. You've probably seen them around. You look at it, you say, man, I made this stupid salad for dinner and it was a pain in the ass, so I might just grab one of these things that looks kind of interesting. You're in impulse buy mode and you click on that ad, you land on the website, and you just get hit with this white screen. And as you're staring at this white screen, the thought flashes into your mind, why is the website taking too long to load? You know your Wi-Fi is fine because you were just scrolling Instagram. So now you're thinking, well, what's wrong with these guys? Are they underpaying for a server? Are they maybe not trustworthy? Are they maybe cutting corners here? Where else are they cutting corners? And then all of a sudden the website loads and they go back to browsing. But in the time it took them to load that website, in the time that they had to think and ask questions, they had a chance to instill a sense of doubt in themselves. That doubt is what kills the conversion, not just the time, not just people being lazy. So now that you've gotten to the bottom of it, you've got some good information, you should end up with a pretty compelling product page that people can go to and buy from. Now, if you want something really good to benchmark yourself on and you just want a quick cheat sheet, so Manscaped is one of the prime examples of a great product page. They have made God knows how much money with this exact product page here. I'm going to break down exactly what kind of makes it stand out. We're going to start off above the fold. If you've not heard the term before, above the fold, this means what you can see without scrolling on the page. Of course, it's a little different on desktop and mobile, but most of your ad traffic is going to come in on a mobile device like this. So treat this mobile view as your kind of bread and butter when you're trying to fix conversion from your ads. So they do 3 things that hopefully will sound a little familiar. They build a sense of urgency that keeps you reading. Think of it as like a magnet that keeps you on the train tracks that they're trying to take you down, that ultimately ends in you being a customer. Next, they build trust and confidence in the product. So trust, you'll notice that they use pretty fancy images. They've gone to the effort of making it look nice. The background color matches perfectly. The website does load very fast. The website is really consistent in brand feel. They've got this nice font here, here, here. They've got the secondary font here, here, here. Everything is quite cohesive. There's a consistent color scheme that echoes all the way through to the images. The fonts, it just all feels like Manscaped. And when you see that, it feels like they've put effort and time into designing something that's cohesive. That just makes you trust what they're laying out. Finally, they create confidence in the product. And here you will see that they do two things. One, they shout out the money back guarantee. And two, this is all dedicated, this introduction right here, to calling out the exact problems they solve. So when you have a problem and you're looking at buying it, you're not thinking, oh, Manscaped is a good shaver. You're thinking, man, I wish I could get rid of my hairy fucking nose. So what's really important here is you don't use this as an opportunity to sing about the titanium blades. You use this as a chance to echo the pain points and the frustrations that the customer's feeling right back at them before they have an opportunity to buy. First fold, now that we've got that out of the way, we can go down and take a further look. The second fold is where you have a chance to actually build serious value in the product. So this is where you can do things like feature stacking. Feature stacking is when you list all the features together in one big stack, so you look like you're offering some big dog package and it's a massive amount of value that you'd be silly to leave behind. Here you also add your customization options, and finally you want to highlight, it's really important, highlight the preferred purchase option. So scrolling down a little bit, you can see they've got their one-time purchase here. They sing and dance about this loyalty program benefit here that also, a little sneakily, includes a top-up every 3 months that renews the... Whether or not you want to go that far, what is important is they've made it really clear which option they want you to choose. And they've shouted and screamed about it. It's so prominent. It's very easy to see what they want you to do next. Finally, they spend a lot of time building value with these big, fancy branded things. And then at the very end, this is such a good touch, objection handling. If you have a one product store or a store that centers around a core purchase, you need to have a section like this that covers all of the objections that your customers might have. It's really critical that you see this FAQs section not as a chance to give more general information about the product, but as a chance to answer the questions that would stop someone from buying. So you'll see here we've got a couple of questions like, are they waterproof? Can I use them in the shower? How close of a shave can I get? There's bound to be plenty of people asking these questions, but the way to think of this for your store is this easy to use? Can I use it the way that I want to? Is this going to be something that I have to rearrange my life to actually use? Or can I just grab it and go and it's going to be awesome the same as I'm used to? Does this actually do a good job? Can you give me a bit more confidence outside of your sales page and give me a bit more confidence and describe it in a different way that I might resonate with better? Finally, what other problems are going to come up? What are all the issues? What's going to fucking break on it that I have to take care of? What do I need to do? What's the maintenance required in this case? You know, it might also be like use cases, things like that. What are the problems that I need to know about in advance so I know I can make a purchase with confidence? Last but not least, they lay out the foundation for their upsell. What is the ultra VIP member price? What's hidden in that? They're going to give it one last go. But ultimately, you want to give people confidence that now is the right time to buy whatever the packages that you're pushing. Again, they're pushing this subscription revenue with their membership option. All of that comes together to finally wrap up in a CTA that tells people to buy. That's all you need to know. If you use this page as a blueprint, you're going to find that you have all of the common objections that could come up answered. You're going to have a first fold that builds a lot of confidence. And once you've set this up and laid out these kind of fundamentals, you can add in a tool like Content Square, Hotjar to dig into the data and actually see where the bottlenecks are. Chances are you might go in and see that nobody actually looks at this stuff. You might find that later on you add it back in because it looks really cool and people trusted you more for it. But what you can do is at least make the best decisions with the information in front of you. So to recap what we talked about today, you should now have the ability to see exactly where in the funnel you are losing potential customers. Once you know where it's happening in the funnel, you know what you need to communicate to them to get them over the line. You know the tools that you can use to identify where those bottlenecks are that need to be addressed. And on top of that, you've got a blueprint that hopefully you can follow along with to achieve the conversion rate that unlocks new levels of profitability for your business. To wrap it all up, I really hope that was useful. If you've got a website you want me to audit, feel free to flick me a message. Otherwise, leave a comment if you've got an idea of what I should cover next. I'd love to hear from you. If you thought this was helpful, please subscribe. I've got more gems coming for you that'll hopefully teach you how to make some more money online. Of course, it all comes without a guarantee. I'm a guy on the internet. This is a YouTube video. I can't guarantee shit. But I can tell you all the stuff I've done to help my clients make millions of dollars selling online. Tune in next time. Thanks for watching.